What's going on, everybody? The Original Mako back with another deck talk video, and today I'm going to be going through my Fire Polkhawk list. I've been playing Polkhawk for a while. I almost brought it to Ascent Boston. I almost brought it to the Michigan Regional, and I did play it at last set's Michigan Regional. And it's won me a decent amount of games at locals, and I think it's a really fun deck. Ranger is definitely, it's a tough class to play because a lot of things need to be going on, but I really enjoy Ranger in general, outside of GA, so I really wanted to play Ranger. So I'm going to be talking about my Fire Polkhawk list. Now, before we get into that, if you're interested in any gaming stuff at all, Borderlands 4 just released recently. Check out the links in the description for the main channel, which is where all my gaming stuff is, and the Twitch channel, where I am streaming all of that gaming stuff. So go check that out. I'd really appreciate it. And also in the future, I'm kind of hoping to do these deck talks and then have some gameplay at the end of a quick game with me and my roommate or something, but not quite set up for that yet, so I wanted to just do this one anyway. I currently have 4 decks that are fully built, I believe. I think that's right. So I kind of want to go through all of them. I've already been through the suited list, which is what I played at the Michigan Regional. This is the Polkhawk list, which I would say is my second. I was going to say it's my second most competitive deck, but I don't think that's true. I think my second or even most competitive deck is my Tristan list. But I do think this is a very competitive deck, and I think you can win a lot of games with it by going fast. There is a turn 2 kill line. I think there's a couple of turn 2 kill lines. I just know the one because I've pulled the one off a couple of times. But anyways, let's talk about it. It's Spirit of Fire. I mean, come on. It's Polkhawk, Spirit of Fire. It's Aggro. That's pretty straightforward. Next up, we have Polkhawk, Boisterous Riot, level 1 Polkhawk. On enter, if there's another fire element card in Polkhawk's lineage, the next Ranger ally you activate this turn enters distant. Very important, a necessity. It allows you to get a guaranteed distant and can push a lot of damage. So knowing when to go, usually you want to go turn 1 as quick as you can, but you have to make sure you have one of the good cards in your hand on the turn you go turn 1, because you can't go turn 1 and just not have a distant unit come out unless you need the health. That'd be the only reason to do it otherwise. Fire Resonance Bauble, that one's pretty obvious. The meta is extremely fire right now. Quick Draw Piercer, very good when paired with Blazing Throw, which is in this deck, because if you're level 1, you Blazing Throw for 4 damage, and then you draw a card. So, extreme value there. Smoke Bombs, a necessity with this deck for sure. This deck gets absolutely blasted when it has to start going through, attacking units instead of face. So having a Smoke Bombs to get around that, very important. Tariff Ring for a counter aggro matchup if you need to slow something down. Tariff Ring is in there for that. We are playing the Looking Glass instead of GCR, which is interesting, but it activates the turn 2 kill line I was talking about earlier, which, as you can probably assume, is what those Ranger Strides are in here for, but we'll get to that. The Looking Glass is for quite literally 1 card. But anyway, I do have Water Resonance Bauble and Wind Resonance Bauble in as well, because without a GCR, I felt like you needed a guaranteed draw card. So it was worth it to put all 3 baubles in to make sure you have that guaranteed draw from one of your materializes. Bombard Flare Cannon, this thing has been just immaculate for clearing boards. So it's a ranger weapon. Polkhawk bonus on attack. If there's a fire element card in this attacker's intent, deal 2 damage to each unit the defending player controls. We use this with Incendiary Shot, and it deals 2 damage to everything. So really good for, if there's any sort of 2 health interceptors. It gets around that, because you can declare your attack to face, and then on that attack, everything will take 2, so your opponent will not have a chance to intercept. Really good. And then it paired with Incendiary Shot, I believe it's 7 damage, because your opponent takes to face, assuming your opponent's champion takes 2 from the on attack. Then The attack itself is 3 damage, so that's 5. And then Incendiary Shot has an on hit of an additional 2 damage, so that's 7 damage, and it can clear some of the board. Really good card. Contraband Revolver is in here for if you don't need to get around any units, but you still want to push a 7 damage to face with Incendiary Shot. Contraband Revolver can do that because if you're attacking the champion, it gets +2. But it's a 0 cost weapon that does it. Bombard is a 1 cost that does not replace. So Revolver is the 0 cost alternative. And then we've got the Ranger Strides, the big boy. So on enter, you draw a card, it replaces itself, but you banish Ranger Strides and target Ranger unit gains ranged 4 until end of turn. That is a beefy buff to ranged. And if you don't know, ranged does stack. So if you already have ranged 4 and you get another ranged 4, now you have ranged 8. So if you're distant, you're dealing 8 damage. Damn! That's good. So yeah, that's why we're playing the Looking Glass, because it allows us to play Ranger Strides while ignoring its elemental requirement. And we'll get into one of the best ways to do that pretty soon, but now let's move over to the main deck here. Evasive Maneuvers is just a classic one. You prevent the next 2 damage that would be dealt to the target unit this turn. If it's a Ranger, it becomes distant, so you can keep something alive. I've even done this multiple times to keep an Arthur alive. It obviously doesn't get distant, but preventing 2 damage, very nice. It can prevent damage onto your champion, another ranged unit that you need, and it makes them distant. It just does kind of everything you want, which is very nice. Next up, there's 2 Mad Hatters listed here. I have since this Shout at Your Decks build added a 3rd one in here, because this is the turn 2 kill line with Mad Hatter. So if you don't know, Mad Hatter's a ranged 3 unit. On enter, you may banish a card at random from your material deck. If you do, materialize a Ranger Regalia card from your material deck. So the whole goal is you play Mad Hatter so the turn 2 kill line is this. I'll just go ahead and we'll spoil it. Spoilers. You play Arthur on turn 1. So you've got Arthur arrested. He's immortal. He's guaranteed to make it to turn 2 unless, Dream Fairy, Snow Fairy, something like that happens. You get to turn 2. You materialize your Bauble of Choice. Then you play... Or no, sorry. Not Bauble of Choice. Well, I guess if you have Ignis Deus in your hand, but let's assume you don't. You materialize level 1 Polkhawk, so the next Ranger unit enters distant. You play Mad Hatter. He enters distant, so he already has ranged 3. And then... you do the Mad Hatter thing. You hope you don't hit Ranger Strides. If you do, then GG. But if you don't, then you materialize the Ranger Strides, draw a card. So now, if you're popping Ranger Strides on Mad Hatter, he's got ranged 7, which puts him at 8 damage. Then you play a Take Aim, which we'll just go ahead and talk about now, which gives the target unit's next attack this turn +2 and class bonus ranged 2. So it's essentially a +4. So Mad Hatter was at 8 damage. Now Mad Hatter's at 12 damage. Arthur swings for 2. That's 2 damage. He now gives Mad Hatter +1. Mad Hatter's at 13. 2 plus 13, that's 15. Your opponent's dead. There's the turn 2 line. It does require, obviously, Arthur turn 1 into Take Aim and Mad Hatter. But it's not that, it does... It's happened a couple of times. I've done it a couple of times. And it's a super fun line. But even if you can't get the full kill, still Mad Hattering a Ranger Strides out is just so much pressure. An unbelievable amount of pressure. So Mad Hatter's in there for that reason. Super cool card. Very fun. Wish I would have gotten the CSR. I did not. Next is Reposition. Another distant maker. Target unit becomes distant, and it's got floating memory. Big reason this is in here is for the 1-cost distant maker, but because the float isn't really important. I think this is the only float we're playing, if I remember correctly. So, or no, the automaton bombers have it. Anyway, just another distant maker. Then we have Steady Sharpshooter. If you don't get Arthur on turn 1, this is another really good turn 1 play, and I've liked it a lot in this deck. Because it's 4 health, so it's very difficult to clear for your opponent, And on attack, you put an aim counter on Steady Sharpshooter. Then you can remove all the aim counters from Steady Sharpshooter, and for each one removed, it gets ranged 2. So the nice thing about this card, other than it being 4 health, is that on attack, you get the aim counter. So you can get an aim counter and remove it right away if you want. But each turn you stack them, you're guaranteed to get 1 more on your next attack. So you can very easily get this to a 3rd aim counter on your 3rd swing, and then you removed it, and all of a sudden you've got ranged 6. And if you make it distant, now we've got a 7 damage attack from this thing. And it's hard to clear. It's annoying. Once you have like 2 stacks on it, your opponent kind of has to clear it. So it makes it a pretty juicy target, so you can kind of protect some other things. So just a really good card. I like it a lot. Take Aim. This one is... Once again, it's in here because it's a +4 if we are level 1, which is important because there are a good chunk of games where you don't really go level 1 right away because there's a lot of ranged that's not class bonus, which makes this card awkward to have 4 of because if you draw 2 or 3 in your hand, it's really dead. But when you do get a Take Aim off when you're level 1 on a distant unit and it gets +4, once again, that is such a big swing and so much pressure that I think having 3 is still worth it in here. Then we get into our fire package. Airship Cannoneers up first. Ranged 4. So first of all, it's a 2/3 with ranged 4. So 3 health, harder to clear. 6 damage if it's distant. And then the other big thing, on attack, you can banish 3 fire element cards from your graveyard. If you do, she makes herself distant. So this can be really good on the board with another ranger unit because, you know, you might only have 1 distant maker in hand, but you've got some cards in the graveyard. So you're like, okay, Airship Cannoneer can make herself distant, and I can make this other ranger unit distant. All of a sudden, 2 distant swings in 1 turn. Once again, the pressure is immense. So Airship Cannoneer, great card. It is 4 cost, but I really enjoyed having 4 in the deck. Arthur up next. 4 Arthurs. Once again, it's not hard. It's hard to find a better turn 1 play than Arthur. Just pay 4, put Arthur down, rest him. Immortal. There you go. You're good to go. We do also have the Clumsy Apprentice combo in here. So if you don't know, if you go first and you do you play Clumsy Apprentice and draw a card, you also have enough cards to play Arthur still. So you Clumsy Apprentice, you play Arthur, all of a sudden you've got 4 damage on board going into turn 2. Well, they might clear Clumsy Apprentice, but even if they do, you know, you're making them use some clear on Clumsy Apprentice, and you have a lot of other stuff coming that's much scarier than Clumsy Apprentice. But if they don't clear it, you've got 4 damage on board going into your next turn with who knows what else in hand. Most likely a lot of damage. So, yeah, 4 Arthurs, just a fantastic card. Automaton Bomber. This one is just another good, you know, once you go level 1 with Polkhawk, it's a 5 damage ranged. This does also have the class bonus Float. It's only 2 health, so easier to clear, but it also is only a 3 cost instead of a 4 cost. So it's just another good amount of damage for your turn 1, or for your level 1 Polkhawk turn. So nice to have. 4 Blazing Bowman. This is just a really good card. Really deals with Frostworn Paladins well. And if you're not dealing with a unit, because obviously its attacks can't be retaliated, but if you're not dealing with a unit, it's just a 4 damage. You know, you get rid of 1 fire card from your graveyard. It's a 4 damage swing. That's a good amount of pressure, but it's just good at clearing taunts, intercepts, stuff like that. So that's why I've got 4 of those in there. Feels really nice. Good card. We have the Blazing Throw. We talked about this earlier. I mean, not only is it good with Quick Draw Piercer, but other cards. I mean, you could just pop out a Contraband Revolver, Blazing Throw it. It's just 4 damage. It's 4 non-combat damage. And once again, when you pair it with Quick Draw Piercer, this becomes a 1 cost, deal 4 damage, draw a card. That is insane. Not to mention, my favorite turns are if I have an Incendiary Shot in hand, you go Quick Draw Piercer, play the Incendiary Shot, shoot your opponent with the Incendiary Shot for, what is that? That's 5 damage. And then you still have 1 durability. So then you Blazing Throw and draw a card. All of a sudden your turn has been 9 damage, draw a card. I mean, it's really good. Clumsy Apprentice we talked about for the Arthur play. You know, when you draw it after the Arthur play, it's pretty much a dead card. The only reason I'm still okay with keeping 3 in when it's just a dead card after that is because it does let you draw a card, and there are absolutely scenarios where you just need to find that one card that gives you the little bit of extra damage you need to get lethal. And the 2 damage to yourself doesn't matter because you are... I can't even count the amount of times that I've had this deck playing in a situation where it's... I have to find lethal this turn, or I know I'm dead next turn. So, you know, when you're doing that kind of thing, it can cycle just a little bit. 4 Flamebolt Arbalists, arguably the best card in the deck. The big reason is it's a 6 damage with Distant, but it's not class bonused. So you do not need to be a ranger to get the Distant, or to get the ranged. Very, very good. It's a great turn 2 play if you have a Distant Maker in hand. You know, you play a Flamebolt Arbalist, Scorching Strafe, turn 2. All of a sudden you've got an 8 damage swing on your opponent. But yeah, it represents so much pressure and damage, and you don't have to go to level 1 for it, which just makes it extremely convenient. Next, 3 Ignis Deuses. I mean, this is just a great... You're never going past level 1 in this deck, so, you know, the downside of this card doesn't matter. And it allows you to, you know, materialize one of your card draw. It could allow you to materialize a Smoke Bomb. If you have, like, Incendiary Shot in hand, you could get a Quick Draw Piercer, a Contraband Revolver, whatever. And then you can still go to level 1 in the same turn. And you can get all of your class bonuses, your distant, guaranteed distant for a unit, while still getting that extra materialize in. It's just, an extra materialize in this deck feels unbelievably good. So, definitely like this card. I think 3 of might be a little high. I think 2 of might be a better spot for it. And actually, if I remember correctly, I might have replaced 1 Ignis Deus for the Mad Hatter. I can't remember what card I got rid of, but I think it might have been Ignis Deus for the extra Mad Hatter. Anyway, good card. Next, we've got the 4 Incendiary Shots. I would argue that other than the Flamebolt Arbalist, this might be my second favorite card in this deck. It feels so good. There's a lot less people running things to deal with, like, guns, to, like, suppress them, or to Fracture. Well, I guess Fracturize is still ran a lot, but Water is, like, the lowest in the meta right now. So, I mean, it feels good when you load this into anything, but especially the Flare Cannon and the Revolver. It just represents a ton of damage for 1 cost, and the more damage you can do for the least cost in an aggro deck, you are feeling good. So Incendiary Shot has felt amazing in the deck. 3 Scorching Strafes. This is another Distant Maker, one of the better ones. Once you're level 1, it costs 2 instead of 4, which is fantastic. But your ally gets +2 and becomes distant. So it adds an extra 2 damage, once again, for a 2 cost. Really, really good. Next, Surging Bolt. So, once again, we're running enough fire cards where Imbue is definitely worth it. So you can Imbue 3 and deal 3 damage to target champion, or if it was imbued, you deal 4. It is slow speed, which, you know, but the reason this is in here is because it's non-combat damage, right? Your opponent might be playing a Tariff Ring, an Art of War, or whatever, and they're not expecting the non-combat damage. So, like, okay, if I Tariff Ring, I've got 1 extra turn, and then you hit them with the Surging Bolt, all of a sudden their extra turn goes bye-bye. So, big fan of this card in this deck. I think they're I've been looking for some other non-combat options, which I think there are some. And actually, there's some on the sideboard we'll talk about. But I have liked Surging Bolt, and it has felt pretty good, honestly, in the deck. So then we have Tinder Flare Pivot, the best Distant Maker in this deck, because you can kindle 2 instead of paying 2. So you could play this for free by just having fire cards in your graveyard. And once again, the more things you can do for the least amount of cost, because your influence is going to go down rapidly. So if you can play something for free and it gives a unit distant and gives them ranged 1 until end of turn, you're feeling fantastic. So definitely a 4 of Tinder Flare Pivot is amazing, and it's feels so good to you go down to 1 card in hand, and your opponent doesn't think you've got the lethal. All of a sudden you kindle 2, there's lethal. So just a great card. And then I have 2 Vermilion Decrees. I'd probably play 3 if I had 3. I don't have 3. So just 2, but once again, it represents more non-combat damage, this time at fast speed. Can also deal 2 damage to a target ally for clearing stalwarts or other interceptors and taunters. And each player draws a card, is also a decent option if you need 1 more card for a certain line or an answer or what have you. It allows you for a little bit more dig if you want to go that route as well. So just a pretty versatile card all around. And yeah, that's it. That's the main board right there and the material deck. Like I said, I've had a ton of fun with this deck. It does win. Like it wins a good amount of games for me, and it's a lot of fun. Ranger can definitely still be pretty inconsistent. There is one of my other decks that I currently have built right now is the new Water Diana, because I just really like Ranger, so I try to make Ranger work. So I will be doing a deck talk on that soon, but I'm still messing around with that deck a decent amount and trying to get it to a spot that I enjoy. But I do enjoy where my Polkhawk deck is at right now, and once again, I was very close to taking it to Ascent Boston and the Michigan Regionals, so I do think it can compete. It does have some pretty big counters, but I still think it's a lot of fun. Sideboard-wise, I haven't fleshed it out too much. I've got Safeguard Amulet here. Once again, to replace one of the baubles that you don't need. I don't have a lot of material deck tech in the sideboard. This is the only one, because you're just not going to get that many materialized phases with this deck. You're either winning very quickly or you're losing very quickly. That's how these tend to go. I do have Ash Wound Shot in here, because it is Ranger, but the main thing is it's for 0 cost until the end of turn. Your target opponent can't recover. So, somebody's about to pop Serene, you play Ash Wound Shot for free. It's if you're playing an Arsana, just 0 cost, can't heal, very nice. But you do have to be level 1, so important to note there. Ember Crypt Burn I had in here. I think I liked the sound of this more than I would like it in actual play. I haven't even cited this in any games. Banishing a card from a graveyard feels really nice in this meta, because playing from graveyard and getting things into graveyard is very important for a lot of decks. Rile the Abyss. But it's only 2 damage and it's 2 cost, and you're only getting rid of 1 card. I don't think I like it as much as I did when I put this in. Intensified Pyre I do kind of like still. It's Kindle 3, so you can once again play it for free if you have 3 fire cards in graveyard. Deal 2 damage to target champion, which it is fast speed. But if that champion's controller has 8 or more cards in their graveyard, deal 6 damage instead. Like I said, there's a lot of getting cards into graveyards right now. So if they've got 8 or more cards in there, a 3 cost or potentially a 0 cost, deal 6 damage at fast speed, I'm in. So I do like this card a lot in there. And then I have Reduced to Ash. I don't think I would this is the one I would take out of the sideboard right now for something. I just don't know what exactly. But I could do some more thinking on that. Anyway, that's the Fire Polkhawk deck. I have a ton of fun with this deck. I recommend trying out Ranger. Just have some fun with it. It's, you know, it's definitely very hit or miss, but a lot of fire aggro can be. I mean, suited is way more consistent than this, but this deck high rolls a lot higher than suited does. So, anyways, it's a lot of fun. I just wanted to talk about this. Like I said, I'll talk about all the decks I have built, and hopefully in the ones going forward, I will have some gameplay at the end if you want to see the deck in action. But, anyways, thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it as always. Hopefully, you'll have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay safe, stay healthy. I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.